I think everyone knows that around the 28th, 29th of August, no one really expected to pick any grapes. And then the rain stopped and the sun came out. And so it's been a vintage which has been saved, really. It's been likened to 1978. But you can't expect to have a great vintage when July and August have been really terrible, because the French phrase "l'août fait le mou," August makes the must, is still valid today, even more so with global warming, with August being the most important month to really ripen the grapes. So even though the grapes had a very long hang time, 130 days, which is absolutely the longest in history, they weren't, for the most part, physiologically ripe. So you had almost, as Christian Moix explained, an artificial ripeness. By the 15th of September, you'd had this sudden sort of transfusion into the grapes, which made them ripe. Even they were ripe in terms of alcohol and sugar, but they actually weren't ripe up there. And the question was, do you pick then, or do you hope that they'll take on this intellectual ripeness, take on this physiological ripeness? And I think the people who picked early made a wonderful, charming wine, and the people who picked later, sometimes they extracted too much, and sometimes it worked. But the one rule I've found in this vintage is the people who went for extraction, which has been a Bordeaux habit, to extract the biggest wine, it didn't work well, because this is not a vintage to extract. This is a vintage, as Christian Moix also said, to go with the fruit. And I think it's a non-speculative vintage because it's a lovely fruity vintage, a little bit like 2004, with a bit more charm, better than, and a little less seriousness, better than 2002. And the wines are really very nice wines. But they're not, in my view, they're not long-term wines. I mean, they're sort of 5 to 12-year wines. And I think if people view the vintage as saved from a potential wreckage, with vintage is lovely fruit, to drink relatively young and to be really happy it's there, then it'll be a success. If people expect more from it than there is, they won't get what they want.